Hello. Yeah. Good evening to one and all present here. As Raju sir has already given a introduction of our today's guest speaker, Mr. Nilay Patel sir, he in a detailed manner. So I would just like to give a brief introduction. That is, he is a BE mechanical student. He has done BE mechanical, and he is working as a senior project product engineer at a DSI Private Limited, which is an IT industry at Pune. And today's topic is exploring elusive journey of Bitcoin, past, present, and future. And so let us demystify the Bitcoin. And now I invite Neela sir to start the session. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of ISTD Anand chapter. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible enough?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Firstly, I would like to thank ISTD for allowing me to let everyone know about and spread the knowledge of Bitcoin, and also Raju sir for your kind and very deep introduction. So, firstly, I would ask a few questions regarding Bitcoin. So, is anybody from the group already into investing or already has purchased Bitcoin, or do you have anybody has any kind of experience or exposure towards this kind?
No, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
No, sir. We have not purchased
Bitcoin
anything.
is electronic money, we can say.
Yes. Okay. So I understand not majority of people are aware about the Bitcoin and really into they don't have the basics insights, and that's what the main aim of the today's presentation would be, that I would like to not demystify, but I would like to explain what is the technology behind this Bitcoin, and like what is this cryptocurrency whole new concept coming in this last 10-15 years. So I will just start with the presentation. So firstly, how Bitcoin came into existence is a very interesting concept, because like our normal currency, uh, Bitcoin is also a kind of a currency, but in respect to our normal currency like dollar, rupee, pound, it has central authorities which are governing it. There are regulators, like for us, there is RBI, and such authorities do regulate timely uh, the valuation, devaluation of money, and they very closely monitor the concept behind it, and they try to take some actions to strengthen the value of that currency for the country. So, for example, I will if you say rupee. So a rupee, if you see, RBI is issuing a rupee. So if suppose like RBI wants to issue 100 rupees note, then there are some basic criterias. As per RBI, there is a 4% of that money, whatever there is in circulation in India, has to be in the form of gold, and other 96% of money is not in form of gold, but it is in form of some investment, some like bonds or something like that. So it is like that in Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. Majority of cryptocurrencies are not backed by anything physical. Again, I would like to say that majority of the currencies, if we see Bitcoin as a particular cryptocurrency, then it is not backed by any of the physical things. But there are other currencies which are already backed by some physical form of real asset, real estates, or some of there are few coins which are backed by US coins as well, US currency only. So I will just give you what basic about idea about like what is Bitcoin. Hello, who is the moderator for this? Because I just want to share my screen. So can anybody permit me to share my screen?
Just a second. Now
Yeah,
you'll be able
thank you.
to share this screen, sir, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the first product that is developed by blockchain technology. So if you see further, like uh, Bitcoin was the first product of blockchain technology. So when in 2008 2009, a person came up with a concept of this blockchain technology, and he introduced Bitcoin as the first product of it. And the primary aim of blockchain technology was not was not to incorporate in other fields of technology, but it was mainly like towards for Bitcoin only. But later on, as the time had spent and the time had gone, it has proved to be one of the best technological innovations in the last decade. So like I will try to explain what is blockchain and all, but first I would like to explain, like I would like to see, point certain facts and myths. Like these are different. In this, you can find there are some myths and there are some facts. Like blockchain and Bitcoin are the same things. There is only one blockchain. Cryptocurrencies are speculative and backed by nothing, unlike money. Digital currencies are primarily used for illicit activity. Blockchain have functional business used or not. There are cryptocurrencies and its transactions are untraceable and anonymous. Cryptocurrencies are not accepted as a form of payment. Cryptocurrencies are very easy to hack. So there's into this there are some myths, there are some facts. So at the end of this presentation, I will try to answer each and every myths and facts. I will try to explain what is actually myth and not, and there is a fact. So like the concept of Bitcoin came into existence is same in earlier days in childhood we used to play Monopoly game. So in Monopoly game, what happened like at times there is a like how many of from the audience, how many of you know the concept of Monopoly? How many have played Monopoly? Hello.
I think most of us will be knowing because all majority of our participants are faculty members.
Okay. So like in Monopoly, like as everybody know, is like in when the bank runs out of money, what we do is we try to issue notes by handwritten notes. Like whenever there is a limited amount of circulation of money. So if all the monies are into with the participants, and if still there is a requirement of money, so what we do in Monopoly game is we take a piece of paper and write manually, like this is 100 rupees, 500, 5,000, 50,000, something like that. So the same kind of concept was happening throughout the world. Like whenever the banks and whenever the countries were in a form of you can say in need of circulation of money, they used to have a larger circulation of money into the economy. So in 2008, as everybody know, the famous Wall Street uh, crash happened. So in that, a lot of real estate builders and real estate players, what they used to do was like they were with certain elements, they were trying to raise the market value of real estate products. So what happened is at the large banks were out of money, and there was no point wherein it could have been backed by again a real estate. And that's how one or two of the major like Lehman Brothers, if you know. So they declared bankruptcy and the whole share market was down, and the whole value of currency, whether you are into share market, whether you are a part of that economy or not, you had to face the consequences of it. So a person named a person named Satoshi Satoshi Nakamoto came up with an idea of Bitcoin. So what he did was he tried to create a formulation or a ledger kind of a thing wherein each and every transactions and everything has is in control of the people, is not centralized by certain powers, and it is not in control of one authority. So if I want to describe Bitcoin in a single sentence or something, is like Bitcoin is a decentralized network of digital currency. So there is no central authority in this. So I will further explain how a typical Bitcoin transactions occur and how without centralized authority, still it is secure, still it has got value, and still it is more trustworthy. So here the transactions which are made from one account to another, and what you have is a 16 character encrypted address. Like you have a bank account number, same like that you have a 16-digit alphanumeric address which is allotted to you. And if you have the access, then you are the owner of that address. So this address are like, as I told you, like they are mathematically secure so that nobody but the owner only can address the transfer, the funds belong to it. Also, like if there is no central authority in this, like the whole system, then how the data is stored? There's a question like how the data is stored, how the transactions are verified, and all the things. So what happens is anybody can be a part of this network. So it is an independent network of computers. Like if I want to be a part of the system, Bitcoin system, I can be a part of that system. What I have to do is like I have to run a proprietary software, a proprietary code, which is given by Bitcoin, and I will be able to store the data. I will be able to verify the data, and for verifying the data, for storing the data, I will be given certain amount of commission to me, and that commission is Bitcoin. So if I am if I am verifying certain transactions, then it is called as mining. So what happens is if I am verifying certain transactions, if person A wants to give person B some amount of Bitcoin, then that transaction has to be verified by the network. So if I am the part of a network, if I verify that transaction, I am given some token money or some fees from the network itself, and the network itself generates its own currency, that is Bitcoin. Also, it is very limited in nature, and as the time progresses, the fee, the amount of token or the amount of fees the one gets is less, and due to the same fact, the value of it increases. So even if the fees which is paid by the whole network is low, day by day it is getting low, still people are more eager to be a part of that system because it is limited in supply and it is reducing in supply. So it is not in abundance quantity. So due to this fact, the value of it increases, as it is very the scarcity of supply is created. So as I told you, it was founded in 2008 after the Great Wall Street crash by Satoshi Nakamoto. So again, as I told you, Satoshi Nakamoto is not yet verified what the person is, who the person is, and it is, as I told you, it is decentralized. So it doesn't matter that whether there is a person or there is a group of persons behind it, because it is run by all the people in the network. And also for a fact, I would like to tell is like supply of this Bitcoin is very limited, and it is limited to 21 million Bitcoins only, and out of which 18.5 Bitcoins are already mined till date. So what happens is like in like 2008 when it started, like suppose it was in 1 hour it was mining 100 Bitcoins, then after 4 years it halves the mining rate. So 100 comes to 50, 50 comes to 25, 25 comes to 12. So right now so what you see is like per day, the amount of bitcoins that can be mined is getting reduced, as I told you. And that is again one of the reasons why it is having some value. And again, like the main purpose behind Bitcoin was also to like a peer-to-peer electronic cash transfer system. So suppose like if I am having certain value of money right now with me, and if I am located in some XYZ country in the world, so I will have to go from a lot of channel financial institutions. Like I will, if I am living in US, then I will have to approach my bank. My bank will approach the Indian bank, the receiver's bank. That bank will again contact the receiver. So it is a long chain. So even if anybody has experience, it's like whenever somebody has to transfer amount of money from one country to another country, it takes a lot of time. It usually like more like around 4 to 5 days, or in some cases it might take up to 15 days to transfer the money. So Bitcoin came into existence, and it proved to be one of the problem to the solution. Is like here there is no central authority, there is nothing. So here I can buy my bitcoins from my normal currency, and the bitcoin can be transferred, and the transferring rate is just 10 minutes. So for the system to verify the transaction, it only takes 10 minutes. And within 10 minutes, the amount is from A to from person B, it goes. And this network is run 24/7, 365 days. So it doesn't affect any of the barriers, like whether the timings are open or not, and all the things. So like if you want to understand the concept behind like how Bitcoin transactions are carried out. So if you see, like here, there is a person that wants to transfer his bitcoins to the person B here. So what happens is the person he shares his private key and public key to the system, to the exchange, you can say. Right now here, this is an exchange. So it tells the exchange that this is my private key, and this is, so you have to give your public and private key both for the sender. And for the receiver, he only gives a private key. So what happens is they both share their addresses, 16-digit addresses, and the amount of money which has to be transferred. Giving his private key, he authorizes it that I want to transfer this amount of money. So the exchange takes the note of this transaction, and he transfers this information to the nodes. As I told you, like everybody can be a part of this system, Bitcoin system. So if I am the node, then what I do is I take the information from the exchange and I try to verify it. And exchange, what happens is exchange transfers this information to all the nodes into the system. So for all the nodes into the system has to verify this transaction. And if the transaction is verified, then a block is created. So that is how the blockchain concept came. So if you want to, like, I will just we'll just go towards a site, then we'll try to understand what is blockchain. So if you see, we already know the concept of human chain. So the same concept has been used here in blockchain. So what happens is a person who is a part of the human chain knows both the persons from right side and left side, who the persons are. So what happens is in blockchain technology, a person is added to the chain. You can understand in such a way, like for example, metaphorically, that if a person is added into the system, then the person knows who is behind him and who is like in front of him. So that person has having the knowledge of both the things, like who is front of him and who is in the back of him. So what happens is in like if somebody wants to alter the like transactions, like in the past, if a person A sent 10 bitcoins to person B, and if some by some hacking or something, if somebody gets the access to this blockchain and he wants to alter that thing. Like, no, I want not 10 rupees, 10 bitcoins, but it was 100 bitcoins. If somebody wants to do that, one cannot do it. Why? Because in the whole chain is connected in such a way that if a person tries to uh, eliminate something or modify certain things in between, the person ahead of him and the person like in back of him both knows and both sees what happens. So in Bitcoin, what happens is, in blockchain, if you see here, there's a block created. So that block contains the information of person A, person B, and the amount of money that has to be transferred. And that block is sealed. And when it is added to the blockchain, it is like it is a kind of a chain only. You cannot break it. So what happens is, like, people will if somebody hacks into the data and if somebody tries to modify the data, the links will be broken. And if the links are broken, then the whole blockchain is not the whole part. So, and also what happens is, this blockchain is stored in multiple computers. So if some, like, there are thousands of computers, thousands of nodes wherein this data has been stored. So if one blockchain is altered, all the other blockchains will not be altered. And if all the other blockchains, all the other members don't verify this transaction, they will not be able to make it free, like make it viable, make it the transaction. So here, if you see, like, this is a node. So the information, as I told you, the node has been transferred the information from the exchange that person A wants to send certain amount of money to person B and the amount of money. So all the nodes in the network, all the nodes in the network will try to verify the information. And for verifying the information, as I told you, like, there is a 16 digit of address. And so what happens is, the 16 digit of address is not directly given to the nodes as well. So as I told you, like, in the proprietary software of Bitcoin, the system is designed that any information is coded, is encrypted, and that's how the cryptocurrency name is. So all the addresses will be encrypted. So to decrypt them, all the nodes will have to do some computational work, and that computational work takes a lot of time, a lot of it is like a puzzle. So and the puzzle has only one answer. It cannot have multiple answers. So as soon as the node completes its puzzle, the address of the person A and person B is accessible to them, and that's how they can verify the transaction. So all the nodes will try to verify that transaction, and as soon as all the nodes have verified the transaction, a note of it will be made into the blockchain, and this is the main computer, or main, you can say, a system wherein the nodes are connected. It is a ledger. So in ledger, a block will be added that this transaction has been made. So in this way, this whole network is like, it works as like security, because each and every node will have to verify the transaction. They will need computational power. It is not just about like normal banks do. Like, they get the person A's address, but the person B's address, and they both do the transaction. And this is one of the reasons why in Bitcoin there is one of its quality, you can say, is it cannot be reversed. The transactions cannot be reversed, because once it is returned, the blocks cannot be modified. And so, like in our normal banks, if I'm sending certain amount of money to some person, and if the person's account number is wrong, or it has been sent to some other person, other banks, then if you proceed to the banks and if you do some complaints and all, there is a possibility that the amount of money can be reversed. But here in Bitcoin, it is not so. Here, nobody has the central authority, nobody has the authority to override things. So here, only only and only if the transaction is conducted, it cannot be reversed. So that's how it is, that like once the transaction is complete, the other person B will get a notification from their exchange that you have got certain amount of money. So like, is anybody having certain doubts in understanding this system, this flow of Bitcoin transaction? Hello? Is anybody having certain doubt or wants to understand certain things into this, the flow of the transfer of Bitcoin from one person to another, how the transaction takes place?
No,
sir,
sir.
please proceed.
Continue.
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 Oh, okay. So that is how the whole transaction takes place. So this, the whole concept behind this is blockchain, and that blockchain is itself a decentralized database. As I told you, it acts as a highly transparent ledger which maintains all and any transaction records constructed using bitcoins. So here, the in blockchain, the order of information is very important. So if a person, like as in the human chain, if you see, the order is very important, that person A, person B, and person C are connected, then it is not quite possible that it will change. And if it changes, it will recognize, the system itself will recognize, and it will not allow that kind of overwrite of the data. So here the chronological order of the information in the blockchain is very important. So, and that is the reason, main reason again, that the any transactions which are carried out which cannot be reversed. Also, like this blockchain is comprising of millions of network nodes which create the whole Bitcoin network. So here what happens is, like as I told you, that different computers act as a branch of information, and all the computers are connected to one another, and the same data has been kept at multiple places, that if some one person's or some two persons data has been breached, then also the whole system has the original data and it cannot be reversed or it cannot be overridden. So some of the like after 2008 2009, this blockchain technology came into existence, and after which a lot of different companies like Apple, Facebook, Google have tried to implement this blockchain technology into their data protection, like how their data is protected and how they can be safe, how they can safeguard against the hacks and everything. Also in e-commerce, like Tencent, Alibaba Group, in if you see in supply chains like FedEx, UPS also use this kind of blockchain technology into their products. Also in terms of automobile, Ford, Toyota also uses, because this technology has a certain advantage towards a normal storing of data. What happens in earlier versions, a centralized data center was created, and that centralized data center used to function as the main resource. But in case of times when the central server or central data has been breached or has been hacked or has been modified, then there is a chance that it can be falsified, or it can be, like if you see in past also, like a lot of Indian government websites have been hacked. So what happens is there is only one pool of data wherein a hacker or a person has to go inside, and just tweaking of one data, the whole thing can be changed. But in case of blockchain technology, what happens is the data is encrypted and is kept at multiple places. And it is, if some one person wants to modify the data, then it has to be verified by all the authorities inside the network. So if I tell you right now that like our Aadhaar card data, so our Aadhaar card data is stored in government servers at a single place. So there is a firewall and everything protecting our data. But maybe someday or some hacker who can get past that firewall, then the whole data is vulnerable to the hackers. So in this case, if there is a use of blockchain technology, if the government is implementing this blockchain technology to safeguard our Aadhaar card data, then what happens is the data is located at various places. The same data is stored in various places in a very encrypted form, and all the authorities or all the computers are having a certain amount of power to verify the data. So if somebody issues one Aadhaar card and the data, if it is gets stored into the system, that there will be a person who is verifying that data. Each time, each different each entry into the system is verified by multiple people or multiple systems into the network. So this blockchain technology is very useful in terms of like data security, and it needs less amount of security measures to be deployed. So if one comes across right now into this crypto currencies, Bitcoin and all, so they will be listening to certain terms. That what are these terms? Like very basic terms are like blockchain. As everybody knows, blockchain is a Bitcoin ledger. So if somebody says that blockchain and Bitcoin is similar things, no. Bitcoin is a product of a blockchain technology, you can say, the first product of blockchain technology. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is a ledger, is a data management system, you can say. It is a data storing system. But the storing of data is very different in pattern than our usual ones. Here the data is a public record and can be stored by anyone. Anyone can be a part of that blockchain, and all the transactions data are stored into this blockchain. Also, there is one term that is mining. So mining is nothing but the process by which the Bitcoin transactions are validated. So as I told you, there were nodes collect the data. So node is a server or storage device which stores the entire blockchain and runs the Bitcoin client software, and that which pursues all the transactions data. And here the node works as the whole storing of the data. And miners, what they do is they validate all the transactions, and as much of the transactions they validate, they get paid, and we get paid in terms of Bitcoin only, and that's why it is called mining. So they in the literal term, they mine the Bitcoins. So what is a Bitcoin wallet? Is nothing but a software application in which you can view your Bitcoin holdings. So Bitcoin can be held in a different ways, like same as gold. So like in gold also, what we do is like we go to the jewelers and we get the gold. And there are many options now that we can have a digital gold which is in some reserve, and it is shown to us in a form of digital. Also you can keep the gold at your place, like hard gold metal in your home or in a locker. Also you can keep your gold into in with the jewelers as well. So here also Bitcoin can have a multiple storages. It can be stored onto the digital exchange as well. Same like our share market. Like if you see like Sher Khan and Motilal Oswal, these are the different kinds of brokers. So same thing here in Bitcoin also. Like if somebody wants to buy Bitcoin, they have to use this kind of exchanges. And this exchange, you can store your Bitcoins in exchanges. Also you can store your Bitcoin in a encrypted wallet. Also you can print a copy of Bitcoin. So if you want to store your Bitcoin into a hard copy, or like if you want to store your Bitcoin in a hard disk, one can save it in a hard disk as well. So what a lot of people do is like if they have a large amount of Bitcoins, then what they do is they store that their whole Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, again, as I told you, it's a digital form of money. So it is having certain numeric data, that if that numeric data works as a 16-digit number X as your address, and that address can be stored in various forms. And so a lot of people will store it in hard disks, pen drives. Certain people print it. So if you print your address, then it is in hard form, because the system, the blockchain, already knows this Bitcoin address has this amount of money. So that is how Bitcoin wallet is there. Bitcoin address, as I told you, and there is a public key. The public key is used to send Bitcoins, and it can be seen by anyone. But there is also a private key which works as a password. So if somebody is already trading into Bitcoin or already holding certain amount of Bitcoin, then they are having two kinds of keys: private key and public key. And if you want to transfer your money, or if you want to transfer your Bitcoins, you need both the keys with you. So public key is used to send and receive the money, and the private key is used to validate from your side the transaction. So like as I in the start I told you, like Bitcoin and blockchain are the same things. It's a myth. A lot of people might be thinking that it is the same things, but it is not. Blockchain is a technology, and Bitcoin is a product of it. A lot of other coins are there also, and they are also using the blockchain technology. And there is only one blockchain. It's also a myth. Then like there are lots of other blockchains, like as I told you, Facebook, Google also use blockchain technology to load their data and store their data. Cryptocurrencies are speculative and backed by nothing, unlike money. Here it can be considered as a fact and myth, but cryptocurrencies are like the people it's in itself who are a part of it works as a trust, and the more the trust is built up, the amount of cryptocurrencies is increasing. So right now, if you see, the Bitcoin value is increasing day by day. The main reason behind it is the trust into this currency is itself the backing. It itself backs it. So yeah, it can be a myth. Yeah, it is not backed by any of the physical things. Like if you are having a gold, then you can hold it in your hand, or you can have a physical amount of that certain metal. But here you cannot have some physical things. But again, it is purely uh, fueled by trust, and the more number of people trust it, the more the value it will gain. Digital currencies are primarily used for illicit activities. So there is this is also a myth, I can say, that in 2019 a global survey uh, released the fact that only 1 or 2% of Bitcoin hold money was used for illicit kind of activities. And again, having this kind of currencies, in fact, it gives born to some illegal activities as well. But right now in India, if you want to trade in Bitcoins, you have to do compulsorily, you have to do KYC. Then if you do KYC, then again, the illegal activity or illegal part of it has been removed. So it varies. Like this currencies might act as a kind of fuel to the illicit activities, but majority of it, like if the governments try to control this, and then if they have KYC and certain uh, rules and regulations, then it can be a good thing. Also, blockchains have business functional business use. It's a fact. Yeah, it is that like a lot of other companies are also using this blockchain technology to enhance their business and improve the technological advancement. Also, these cryptocurrencies and its transactions are traceable. Yes, in fact, the cryptocurrency transactions are very open. All the blockchains are open, anybody having the access to the whole node can view all the transactions occurred into the system, but it is very tough to trace it back, but it is not impossible. Again, if you have the KYC, then that 16-digit address is linked to your KYC, and if that way you can actually know if some person A has sent the person some amount of bitcoins or some amount of money to person B, then it can be tracked. It is not totally untraceable, but yeah, it is a bit difficult. Cryptocurrencies are accepted as a form of payment. Yes, the cryptocurrencies outside of India already is becoming a part of payment system. If you have known or if you have seen in the news, in the past week only, Tesla, Elon Musk founded company which is making cars, has already accepted and has already announced that they will allow people to buy cars from Bitcoin. So if you are having certain amount of Bitcoin, and so they will be allowing the trade of cars through Bitcoin. Also, like it's a myth that cryptocurrency are very easy to hack. In fact, it cannot be hacked because as the system is comprised of a lot of people inside it, or a lot of system, or a lot of networks. So it is very difficult for a person to modify all the data, all the blockchains. So it is impossible to hack. And right now, the issue of legality of Bitcoin is a prime concern. That right now, whatever like however people are talking about Bitcoins, they are very much worried about the legalities of the Bitcoin, that how it will turn out to India. So right now, India, if you see, it's very neutral, that they allow the transactions or trade of Bitcoins, but through regularities, like you have one must do KYC from the exchange, and it is regulated by government, you can say. And but there are countries like Russia, China, which have in a way restricted or made it illegal to transact. But all the Western countries, or all the first world countries like Canada, United States, Europe, most of the European nations have accepted Bitcoins, and they have made it legal to transact or to accept payment as well as in currency. Like if you somebody wants to purchase some products or some goods, some services through Bitcoin, one can do that. So this is the whole map in the world right now, how it is like how it is regulated, the Bitcoin. So a lot of developed countries, I can say that they have accepted that they will be allowing and making it legal. And this is just for the information that how the prices have gone up and up from last 2010 11. So it was founded in 2008, and it was first made in the market, out in the market in 2009. So through that time, the price of Bitcoin is going up and up, because a lot of people are getting part of it, are being part of it, and it is getting the recognition of big corporates. Like in past few weeks, Tesla founder Elon Musk advocated for the use of cryptocurrencies, and that's how you can see like almost $10,000 of jump it took in last like couple of weeks only. So right now it is trading at $45,000. One Bitcoin is equal to $45,000. So here, like as the time progresses, it's again a speculation that more people will be a part of it, and the more the people will be part of it, the more the value of it will increase. So if you want to consider, so what happens is in the Bitcoin currency, cryptocurrencies, there is only one Bitcoin. That was the first coin, and all others are called altcoins. So they have got their names, but they are called alternative coins, altcoins. So if you want to see like the in 2020, the return of investment, if you see in the majority of the coins and bitcoins and altcoins, it is in I can say it is almost double, triple, or you can say 300 times mostly. So Bitcoin in 2020, if you start, it was in January and December. If you compare it, then it has rose 300%. There is another coin called Ethereum. So Bitcoin is totally, it doesn't have any product. So Bitcoin is, you can say it is just a ledger maintaining the transactions, and itself, the whole Bitcoin ledger itself produces certain amount of coins as a token, as a fee, and that's how the circulation is slowly increasing, and it is very limited in supply. But other coins have different purposes. Like if you see Ethereum, then Ethereum is having a different concept. So Ethereum works as a, kind of a data storing network. So if some company or some small companies or some big companies as well, if they want to use this technology, blockchain technology, then Ethereum provides that technology. And by using that technology, that company has to pay a certain amount of money, and that's how the Ethereum tokens are created. So all the coins, like same like share market, it has having, all the coins are having different purposes. Only Bitcoin is a certain kind of coin which doesn't have any of the product. It is just using the blockchain technology. It is just keeping the ledger, a database of transactions. A Litecoin, as you see, it has rose 198%. It is also a same kind of cryptocurrency, but a lighter version of Bitcoin. XRP, if you see, it is also known as Ripple coin. A lot of people might have heard. It is very popular. So XRP is Ripple is a coin which is purely made for the purpose of remittance. So as we discussed, that if a person is in USA or in Canada, and if that person wants to send certain amount of money to a person B in Australia, then in the legal system, in the financial institutions like banks and all, it takes a lot of time. So here the cryptocurrency is purely created for the sole purpose of remittance. So it is very fast, and the people who are using the system, they pay a certain amount of fees, and that fees are again a kind of tokens that are generated, and that token generated are known as nothing but XRP. So this kind of, in this way, there are different kinds of coins. If you see Binance coin, Binance is again an exchange. So the exchange itself has his own coin, that if you are using the whole system, then if you are trading in Bitcoins, and if I'm buying Bitcoins or selling Bitcoin, then I will be charged certain amount of money in this exchange, and that money is again transferred into the form of token, and that token is nothing but Binance coin. Same way, Tether, Cardano, Chainlink. There are different kinds of like around 3 or 4 thousand different cryptocurrencies are present right now into the market, and they all have their own purposes. They all have their own market cap. So if somebody wants to see that how it is performing, then you can see that what is the market cap of that coins, cryptocurrencies, and all this kind of data. You can find it in various crypto exchanges. There are like lots of website and lots of resources available on the internet. So there you can same like shares, share market. One can know a different kinds of data, like how, whether you can uh, build trust into that kind of cryptocurrency or not. And also, like as I told, that market cap, it is the whole Bitcoin market. If you compare it to real estate, right now into the world, the real estate market is approximately around $225 trillion. If we talk about the gold, it is $10 trillion. And this amount of money, circulation money, like dollar, pound, and rupee. So if we compare the market cap to that, then the money is having $100 trillion of market cap. Stock market is at 75 trillions, and the Bitcoin is at 1 trillion right now. only cryptocurrency, one cryptocurrency, that is Bitcoin, it is having 1 trillion of market cap. So you can say that the amount of money invested into this Bitcoin is already surpassed 1 trillion. So a lot of times we expect that it is just a notion or just a new technological thing which might diminish, which might not. But again, if we see this market cap, one can understand in financial terms that it is not something which has to be taken lightly, which is a greater form of investment, one can say. But again, it's not stable and it is not backed by real value. So it's more risky, and normal rule, as per the normal rule, the more the risk, more the returns are there. And also there is chance that more the money you will lose. So same kind of concept is here. Also, if you talk about the top 6 companies, which are public companies, which are holding this uh, just Bitcoin, then MicroStrategy is a company. Then there's Tesla, Galaxy Digital, which provides digital services. And this all are the companies which are already listed in US stock exchange, and they have invested their money into Bitcoins. And right now, just past few days only, one might have heard that 1.5 billion uh, was invested by Tesla into this Bitcoin. So that is how it is, like 40,000, approximately 40,000 around coins they have purchased, and they will be using it as an investment option. Also, as per the CNBC source, Apple will be the next big company to buy Bitcoins. Ripple is also trying to invest some amount of money into this. And once these big companies or big firms come into this system of Bitcoin, then you can see that, like right now, without having certain big names into that system, it still is valued very high, and it is almost in 2020. You can see 300% of it is rose. So it is going to be a further uh, growing. Also, one of the biggest news in the past few days is that one of the largest payment processing networks in the world, that is Mastercard and Visa, have announced that they will be accepting and they will be allowing the exchange of cryptocurrencies. So if one wants to buy certain things by Bitcoins, then if you are holding a Visa coin, then they will be allowed to do that. So they will be again getting new cards. Visa and Mastercard will be issuing new cards, which are which can be topped up by Bitcoin, you can say, or which can be used as a wallet, and that wallet can be used as a payment network. So if I'm holding 10 Bitcoins, then if I want to buy some things, then I can use the Visa card or the MasterCard as a wallet, and I can buy certain things. So these are the two major payment gateways around the world, MasterCard and Visa, and they have already accepted uh, processing of the cryptocurrency. Also in India right now, there are few of the exchanges which are allowing the transactions of Bitcoins, that is like ZepPay, Binance, WazirX, CoinDCX, CoinSwitch, and all. Also, in the past few days, there is one offline exchange which is opened, Unicars, which is based in Rajasthan, Jaipur. It has a physical office, and it has also a branch office in Jamnagar. It has opened in last 2 or 3 months only, and they provide the banking services for Bitcoin, just like normal our currency, rupee currency. They are giving banking services for the Bitcoin. So also they are providing loans. If you are holding certain amount of Bitcoin, then you can have loan, or you can uh, purchase certain things out of it. So also you can keep it as a like statement and all you can get. So these are giving banking services offline. So right now, just day before yesterday, news and came like the government of India is trying to pass a cryptocurrency bill in which it will individuals or corporates to be fined for using digital money. So the government of India is planning to pass a bill in which it will limit the use of these cryptocurrencies, and anybody who is found to do so will be like fined, and they will be launching Indian currency, cryptocurrency, which is backed by RBI, and all the other currencies will be banned, you can say. And also this different, as I told you, like different, there are different exchanges. So they have started a campaign that if you want to support this cryptocurrencies or this kind of network of money and network of things, then you can support them. There's a website called indiawants.bitcoin.org. It is run by different exchanges from India. They are uniting and they are trying to form a coalescence wherein they will be asking the government to not ban the cryptocurrencies, but mostly regulate it by doing the KYC and all things. So it is by us that like whether we want to be a part of the government ban, or we want to have the freedom of like doing the transactions or doing things on the Bitcoin network. So one can select their points, and if you want to support this and if you like the idea of this Bitcoin, then again you can be a part of this initiative like hashtag India Wants Bitcoin, and you can show your support. Or if you are in the positive side of it, that no, this kind of things will create a lot of negative things and it is mostly disadvantageous to the Indian government, then we can be a part of that side as well. But I suggest that we should be very well informed about what is actually this cryptocurrency. And my major aim for this presentation today was to share the knowledge that what actually is cryptocurrency, and by that we can make an informed choice whether we want to support that or we want to not support that. But unless and until we don't understand it, it's very difficult for us to take the initiative, like we want make an informed decision. So that is how my whole part was at. Right, thank you very much. So is anybody having any doubts or questions regarding this which I can maybe able to solve or maybe able to answer that? And if not, we'll discuss what are your views on these things.
Thank you very much, Nilay sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Request all the participants to clear your doubts regarding the Bitcoin. It was nicely
Okay.
explained by the Nilay sir.
Nilay sir, we are comparatively new in this field, so at present we don't have any doubt.
Okay, no problem. But my main aim was to give people a direction, because this is something new which is coming up. This is a technology which is coming up, same like internet. This is something blockchain, the whole cryptocurrency is coming new. And so if we are having insight before the things are into the formal network, so it is like for us it is better to understand now that like we can get a direction, like we can start seeing it as an opportunity, like what is actually cryptocurrency. So my main aim was to create basic awareness regarding like how and what the Bitcoin is actually.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
નીલયભાઈ,
Yes.
બિટકોન જેવી બીજી કોઈ કરન્સી ખરી અત્યારે?
હા, બિટકોઇન જેવી બધી બહુ કરન્સી છે. બિટકોઇન એક એવી છે કે જે એ પહેલું હતું એના માર્કેટમાં આપણે જોઈએ ને તો બ્લોકચેન ટેકનોલોજીનો પહેલો પ્રોડક્ટ હતું એ બિટકોઇન હતું. એટલે
Right.
બિટકોઇનનો શું કહેવાય કે એને એક પોપ્યુલારિટી મળી ગઈ છે એમ જ કે એક નામ બની ગયું છે. ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી કોઈને ખબર નથી પણ બિટકોઇન બધાને ખબર છે એવું થઈ ગયું છે હવે. પણ એકચ્યુઅલમાં ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીમાં પહેલું બિટકોઇન છે પણ બીજા બધા બહુ છે. જેમ કે ઇથિરિયમ કરીને એક છે, પછી XRP રિપલ કરીને છે, પોલ્કા ડોટ છે, નિયો છે, બીજા બધા ઘણા બધા ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીઝ છે. અને જેમ મેં તમને એક્સપ્લેન કર્યું એવું કે દરેક ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીનો મતલબ કે એનો પ્રોડક્ટ અલગ છે. કે જેમ કે આજે આપણે એવું વિચારીએ કે આપણે એક જેમ કે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી છે એ ફીઝ ને એવું બધું લે છે અને સામે એવું જ એના સામે એના ફોર્મમાં બિલ્સ ને બધું પે કરે છે. તો એનાથી એક રેવન્યુ જનરેટ થાય છે એમનાથી. તો હવે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી કાલે ઉઠીને એક એવું સિસ્ટમ બનાવવા માંગે કે આપણે એજ્યુકેશન કોઈ બી માણસ એમાં જો તમે લેક્ચર આપો ને તો તમને તમારી ફીસ નહીં મળે ઇન ફોર્મ ઓફ રૂપીઝ. તમને એ લોકો ટોકન આપશે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટીનું કે SP1 SP કોઈન, અને એને આપણે સરદાર પટેલનો ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી કહી શકીએ. અને એનું એક ફોર્મેશન હશે, એ સરદાર પટેલ ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી જે બની એનું એક લેડજર હશે, એક બ્લોકચેન હશે, એક કમ્પ્યુટર નેટવર્ક હશે કે જે એનું ડિટેલ રાખશે. એટલે કાલે ઉઠીને એવું બી થઈ શકે કે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી પોતાનો જ એક ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી બહાર પાડે અને એનું નામ એવું રાખે કે સરદાર પટેલ ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી. હવે તમે જ્યારે લેક્ચર લેવા જાઓ તો તમને એ ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીના ફોર્મમાં તમને પેમેન્ટ મળે કે તમને આજે એવું થયું કે તમે લેક્ચર આપ્યો તો તમને એક SP કોઈન આપ્યો. તો એવી રીતે ઘણું બધું એવી રીતે કોઈ બી માણસ આ સિસ્ટમમાં પાર્ટ લઈ શકે છે. એનો ફાયદો એ છે કે આજે જો કદાચ SP યુનિવર્સિટી તમે લેક્ચર લો છો તો તમને કદાચ 1000 રૂપિયા આપે છે 1 કલાકના, તો કદાચ વર્ષ પછી તમારી વેલ્યુ ઓફ મની જે છે એ તમારી કરન્સી પર ડિપેન્ડન્ટ છે. તો તમને 1000 રૂપિયા જે મળ્યા હતા એ તમે કદાચ એને તમે 1000 મૂકી રાખ્યા તો એને એની વેલ્યુ ડિગ્રેડ થશે. પણ જ્યારે કે સરદાર પટેલ ના એમાં ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીના ફોર્મેટમાં જો તમારું પેમેન્ટ થયું હશે કે SP કરન્સીમાં, તો એ તમે કદાચ એને SP કરન્સીના ફોર્મેટમાં જ મૂકી રાખી અને કાલે ઉઠીને સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી આખા ઇન્ડિયામાં બહુ મોટી પ્રચલિત થઈ ગઈ. તો એ ટાઈમે એની જે વેલ્યુ છે ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી, એના જે ટોકન, એની જે ફીની વેલ્યુ છે એ વિચારો કે તમે એ વધી જશે. તો તમે જો મૂકી રાખી તો તમારા જ એક કોઈનની વેલ્યુ વધી ગઈ. તો તમારું જે ફીનું પેમેન્ટ હતું ને એ ઓટોમેટિક ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ થઈ ગયું. એટલે જો તમે આમાં કેવું છે કે તમે ખાલી એમાં એક જેમ કે આપણે એક્ઝામ્પલ જ લીધો છે આ તો, પણ કે તમે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટીમાં ખાલી લેક્ચર આપવા જાઓ છો અને તમે એમાં સાચેમાં વિશ્વાસ મૂકો છો, એ બેમાં બહુ ફરક છે. જો તમે સાચેમાં વિશ્વાસ રાખતા હોય કે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી બહુ સારી બનશે તો તમને એનો જે ટોકન મળ્યો એને તમે કન્વર્ટ નહીં કરો નોર્મલ ફોર્મ ઓફ રૂપીઝમાં. તમે શું કરશો, એને એવી રીતે જ મૂકી રાખશો કે તમને ખબર છે કે કાલે ઉઠીને આની વેલ્યુ વધશે. અને એક યુનિવર્સિટી જેમ શેર માર્કેટ છે ને સેમ એ જ કન્સેપ્ટ પર ચાલે છે કે આપણે આજે ધારો કે કોઈ કંપની છે, ટાટા મોટર્સ કંપની છે, એની ઉપર મને વિશ્વાસ છે કે કાલે ઉઠીને એ લોકો ઇલેક્ટ્રિક વ્હીકલ્સ લાવશે અને એની વેલ્યુ વધતી જ જશે. તો આજે મને જો એક શેર જો મને 300-350 મળતો હોય તો હું લઈ લઈશ. મને એવી આશા છે કે કાલે ઉઠીને એની રિયલ માર્કેટ વેલ્યુ વધી જશે ને 3500 કે 4000 થઈ જશે. તો એવી જ રીતે એક ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીનો કન્સેપ્ટ છે. આઈ હોપ કે તમને થોડુંક મેં વધારે એક્સપ્લેન કર્યું હશે.
ચોક્કસ સરસ સમજાયું. પણ એ પહેલા આપણી અહીંયા જે દૂધ મંડળીનું અમૂલનું જે નેટવર્ક છે ફાઉન્ડેશનનું, એમાં એ લોકોને કોઈનની અછત હતી. ત્યારે એ લોકોએ દરેક દૂધ મંડળી વાળાએ પોતાની એક પ્લાસ્ટિક કોઈન કાઢ્યા હતા.
બરાબર.
અને હું સમજુ છું ત્યાં સુધી એ આના જેવું જ કંઈક કહી શકાય કોન્સેપ્ટ. જસ્ટ
કન્સેપ્ટ ઓલમોસ્ટ સિમિલર કહેવાય. હા, ઓલમોસ્ટ સિમિલર. પણ આમાં ડિજિટલ વસ્તુ છે, ખાલી આ બધું ડિજિટલ છે. હવે આપણે જે તમે અમૂલની વાત કરી ને કેવું આપણે પેલું મેં પહેલા જ સ્ટાર્ટિંગમાં કહ્યું કે મોનોપોલી આપણે રમતા હોઈએ, પૈસા ખૂટી જાય આપણે શું કરીએ, હાથથી લખવાનું ચાલુ કરી દઈએ. તો સેમ એ જ કન્સેપ્ટ છે. પણ એ પછી એમાં કેવું કે આપણે એ વસ્તુ ક્યારે ચાલે કે જો અમૂલે જો એક કોઈન બહાર પાડ્યા હતા, હવે એ કોઈન ફરતા રહ્યા પછી અમૂલે થયું લિમિટેડ ટાઈમ માટે
દૂધ મંડળીએ પાડ્યા હતા.
હા એટલે એ જ. હવે એ કન્સેપ્ટ જે કંપની કે દૂધ મંડળી આગળ જઈને જો ગ્રો થવાની હોય અને લોકોને એનો વિશ્વાસ હોય તો એ કોઈનને શું કરે, મૂકી રાખે. જેમ આપણે સોનું અત્યારે કેવું કરીએ છીએ કે સોનું આપણે મૂકી રાખીએ છીએ કે આપણને ભરોસો છે એના ઉપર કે કાલે ઉઠીને આપણને કશું થયું તો એ ગોલ્ડ છે અને એને આપણે ગમે ત્યારે કન્વર્ટ કરીને આપણી જોડે રૂપિયા મળી શકે છે આપણને. એટલે એ સેમ રીતે એવી જ રીતે ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીનું ફોર્મેટ છે, પણ એમાં ખાલી એટલો જ ફરક છે કે આમાં કોઈ ઓથોરિટી નહીં, સેન્ટ્રલ ઓથોરિટી નહીં. કોઈ બી ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી હોય તો એમાં કેવું છે કે એમાં કોઈ પાછું અલગ અલગ છે. જેમ કે સરદાર પટેલ યુનિવર્સિટી જો પોતાની ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી બહાર પાડે તો સરદાર પટેલ તો એક સેન્ટ્રલ ઓથોરિટી થઈ, પણ એમાં એ છે કે એ બધાથી ગવર્ન છે, બધા જ એના એટલા હિસ્સેદાર છે. જેમ કે કંપની ટાટા મોટર્સનું આપણે એક્ઝામ્પલ લઈએ તો આપણે શેર, તો આપણી જોડે 1% શેર હોય, એક શેર હોય તો એનો મતલબ કે આપણે એક શેરના માલિક થઈ ગયા આપણે. તો એવી જ રીતે ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીમાં પણ એવું જ છે કે એમાં તમે માલિક થઈ ગયા એ વસ્તુના. પણ આમાં કેવું છે કે પ્રોડક્ટ ટોકન જે તમારી સર્વિસીસ તમે જે યુઝ કરો એને ટોકન ફોર્મમાં જનરેટ થાય છે, અને એટલે જ એને ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી કહેવામાં આવે છે. કે સર્વિસીસ તમે યુઝ કરો એને ટોકન ફોર્મમાં જનરેટ કરવાની. જેમ કે તમે દૂધ મંડળીનો એક્ઝામ્પલ આપ્યો, તો દૂધ મંડળી જેટલા લોકો યુઝ કરે એ લોકો એનો ટોકન ફોર્મમાં એક કોઈન લે, પણ એ કોઈનને પછી એ લોકો મૂકી રાખે એવું ધારીને કે કાલે ઉઠીને આમાં આની વેલ્યુ વધશે, અને જ્યારે વેલ્યુ વધે ત્યારે મારું ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ કે મારું જે વેલ્યુ છે પોતાની એ બી વધશે. એટલે એક સ્પેક્યુલેશન પર જ ચાલે છે. સ્પેક્યુલેશન અને ટ્રસ્ટ એ બે વસ્તુ પર ચાલે છે.
ઓકે, થેન્ક યુ.
ઓકે ઓકે.
તો સર, હેલો સર,
હા હા
સિદ્ધાર્થ ડોડિયા નામ છે.
બોલીએ.
તો સર, જો કોઈએ જો કે ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરવું હોય ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીમાં, મીન્સ કે બિટકોઇનમાં, તો એની મિનિમમ વેલ્યુ કેટલા સુધી હોઈ શકે?
એમાં કેવું છે કે જેમ મેં તમને આમાં કહ્યું ને પ્રેઝન્ટેશનમાં કે અલગ અલગ ક્રિપ્ટો એક્સચેન્જ છે, કે મોસ્ટ ઓફ ક્રિપ્ટો એક્સચેન્જ એવું કહે છે કે તમે મિનિમમ 100 રૂપિયાનું ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ કરી શકો છો. જેમ કે આપણે ગોલ્ડમાં ફોર્મમાં સીધું આપણે કમ્પેર કરીએ તો ગોલ્ડ એટલે કેવું, આપણે 1 તોલો સોનું લેવું અત્યારે એ બહુ મોટી વસ્તુ કહેવાય કે 30,000 40,000 આપણી જોડે હોય ના હોય તો આપણી જોડે અત્યારે 1000 રૂપિયા બચ્યા તો આપણે કેવું, આપણે 1 ગ્રામ લઈએ. એવી રીતે જ બિટકોઇન કે કોઈ બી કરન્સીમાં, ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીમાં એના ફ્રેક્શન્સમાં તમે એને ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરી શકો. તો તમે મિનિમમ 100 રૂપિયાનું બી લઈ શકો છો કે 100 રૂપિયાના બિટકોઇન તમારે જોઈતા હોય તો તમે 100 અને 100 થી 101 એવી રીતે ગમે તે મિનિમમ 100 થી ઉપર તમે કોઈ બી લઈ શકો અમાઉન્ટના. અને અમુક એવા બી પ્લેટફોર્મ છે કે જ્યાં આગળ તો ખાલી તમે 10 રૂપિયાના બી ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી બાય કરી શકો છો.
તો સર, આમાં રિસ્ક કયા પ્રકારના હોઈ શકે છે? તમે હમણાં રિસ્કની થોડીક વાત કરી.
હા, એટલે રિસ્કમાં એવું છે કે રિસ્ક તમારું આમાં કેવું છે કે આમાં કોઈ ફિઝિકલ બેકિંગ નથી. જેમ આપણે કહીએ છીએ કે આપણને એક ગોલ્ડ તમે લો તો તમે ગોલ્ડ તમે જ્યારે એને વેચવા જાઓ તો તમારી જોડે મેટલની વેલ્યુ તો ખરી, ફિઝિકલ એક વસ્તુ તો છે. જેમ તમે ઘરની વાત કરો તો ઘરમાં ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરો તો તમારી જોડે એની ફિઝિકલ ઇન્ટ્રિન્સિક વેલ્યુ એને કહીએ ને તો ઇન્ટ્રિન્સિક વેલ્યુ ખરી, પણ ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સીમાં ઇન્ટ્રિન્સિક વેલ્યુ કશી જ નહીં. અને એમાં બિટકોઇનની તો ખાસ કરીને બિટકોઇનમાં એનો પોતાનો પ્રોડક્ટ છે જ નહીં કોઈ. એટલે જેમ કે ઇથિરિયમ કરીને એક બીજા નંબરનો સૌથી પોપ્યુલર ક્રિપ્ટોકરન્સી છે ને, એમાં કેવું છે કે ઇથિરિયમમાં તમે હજી એનો પ્રોડક્ટ છે કે તમે એક ડેટા મેનેજમેન્ટ સોફ્ટવેર બ્લોકચેન ટેકનોલોજી તમને આપે છે, અને જે બી માણસ કોઈ યુઝ કરે બ્લોકચેન ટેકનોલોજી તો એનાથી એક ટોકન જનરેટ થાય ને એની વેલ્યુ છે ઇથિરિયમમાં ઇથર કહેવાય ને. તો પણ બિટકોઇન તો ખાલી પ્યોરલી ખાલી લેજર સર્વિસ છે. એ ખાલી બેન્કિંગ, આપણી બેંક કેવી હોય, ICICI બેંક છે કે SBI બેંક છે, એવી ખાલી એક સિસ્ટમ છે કે એ ખાલી બિટકોઇનની લેનદેન અને એનું ડેટાબેઝ રાખે છે કોની જોડે કેટલા બિટકોઇન છે. પણ સિસ્ટમ જ્યારે બની ત્યારે એવી રીતે બની હતી કે જે સિસ્ટમ મેનેજ કરે અને જે એના ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન વેરીફાઈ કરે એને બી બિટકોઇન સિસ્ટમ પોતે જ એને પોતા જ એને પે કરશે. એટલે મારે કે તમારે પે કરવાની જરૂર ના પડે. એટલે એ પોતે જ સેલ્ફ સસ્ટેનેબલ છે. પણ એમાં બી કેવું છે કે લિમિટ છે કે મેં તમને એવું કહ્યું 21 મિલિયન બિટકોઇન સુધી જ એ લોકો 21,000 મિલિયન કોઈન સુધી જ એ લોકો માઇન કરવા દેશે, પછી એનો સપ્લાય નહીં આવે. અત્યારે 18.5 તો થઈ જ ગયા છે ઓલરેડી. એટલે એમાં રિસ્ક વેલ્યુ એ છે કે કાલે ઉઠીને બધાનો એમાં ટ્રસ્ટ જતો રહ્યો તો સેમ લાઈક શેર માર્કેટ, કે એમાં રિલાયન્સ કેપિટલનું આપણે એક્ઝામ્પલ લઈએ તો એક ટાઈમ હતો કે જેની એની શેર પ્રાઇસ છે 2000 પર ટ્રેડ થતી હતી, અત્યારે 100 રૂપિયા પર ટ્રેડ થાય છે. તો એમાં આપણને જેવો સેમ શેર માર્કેટમાં જેવો લોસ થવાના ચાન્સીસ છે ને જેવું તમે એમાં ખાલી તમે વેલ્યુ કે એના ખાલી તમે સ્પેક્યુલેશન જોઈને તમે એમાં જો અંદર ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરો તો તમારે રિસ્ક વેલ્યુ માટે રેડી રહેવું જોઈએ. પણ જ્યારે કે તમે બીજી બધી કરન્સીસ છે કે જેનું એકચ્યુઅલમાં પ્રોડક્ટ ફોર્મમાં છે એમાં તમે ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરો ને એમાં તમને ટ્રસ્ટ હોય તો તમે ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરો, અને આગળ જતા જો એ સક્સેસફુલ વસ્તુ થાય તો એ તમને એમાં તમને રિટર્ન્સ આપે, અને પોસિબિલિટી છે કે એમાં કદાચ ના બી થાય. તો એ એક બિટકોઇનમાં કોઈ આમાં એવું છે નહીં કે તમે એનો ફાઇનાન્શિયલ એનાલિસિસ હોય કે રિટર્ન ઓફ ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ, રિટર્ન ઓફ ROI, આ તે રિટર્ન ઓફ ઇક્વિટી, અને એવું કોઈ ફાઇનાન્શિયલ ટર્મ્સ નથી આની કે જે તમને સપોર્ટ કરવા માટે તમને કહે કે હવે આ ટાઈમ છે, કરેક્ટ ટાઈમ છે આમાં એન્ટર થવાનો, કે આ કરેક્ટ ટાઈમ છે આમાં એક્ઝિટ થવાનો. આ એક પ્યોરલી સ્પેક્યુલેશન અને ટ્રસ્ટ. સ્પેક્યુલેશન તો મતલબ એ કે મને અત્યારે એવું લાગે છે કે જેમ કે અત્યારે ન્યૂઝમાં આવે છે કે એપલ કદાચ ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરશે તો એટલે અત્યારે એની વેલ્યુ ઓર ઉપર જશે, અને કાલે ઉઠીને તો કદાચ એપલે એકચ્યુઅલમાં ઇન્વેસ્ટ કરી દીધું તો એની વેલ્યુ ઓર બી ઉપર જશે, પણ એ સ્પેક્યુલેશન થયું. અને ટ્રસ્ટ એટલો મને કે મને ટ્રસ્ટ છે કે ભાઈ બિટકોઇનમાં જેટલા લોકો અત્યારે અંદર ઓલરેડી શું કે શેર હોલ્ડર્સ કે જે એના ઓલરેડી બાય કર્યા છે જે લોકો, એ લોકોને બધાને વધારે ટ્રસ્ટ છે એમાં. તો જેટલું ઓછું સેલિંગ થશે ને જેટલું વધારે સપ્લાય અને ડિમાન્ડનો જે કન્સેપ્ટ છે એ જ, કે ટ્રસ્ટનો મતલબ એ જ કે ભાઈ સપ્લાય ઓછો થવાનો છે અને ડિમાન્ડ વધે એવું મને આશા છે અને એવો મને વિશ્વાસ છે, એટલે હું એમાં કદાચ બાય કરું. તો એ મારો ટ્રસ્ટ થયો અને સ્પેક્યુલેશન. અને આ બે ફેક્ટર્સ પર જ એનું આખું પ્રાઇઝિંગ આખું તૈયાર થાય છે.
Thank you.
Okay, ISD Anand chapter, we formally thank you, Nilay bhai, for the wonderful, beautifully explanation of the very hard topic to understand, right? Because Bitcoin is a buzzword, but at the same time, we talk about the details, right? Everybody goes on a toss. Right? We thank you very much, Nilay sir, for this wonderful talk. And at the same time, we thank you all the participants who join us for today's Friday Forum. We'll be putting this video on our ISD YouTube channel in coming days. And you are all welcome to join us in the next Friday Forum on 19th at 6 o'clock, using the same credentials for the Zoom meeting. Thank you very much.